Drums roll for our sword and buckler first place, which will be fought between Tom Alexander Skotner of the Fria Duelist Norway, who will be fighting in blue, versus Riccardo Rudolioso from Sala d'Arme Achille Marozzo of Italy. Did I pronounce that correctly, Matt?
Achille Marozzo.
Achille Marozzo.
So this is actually a very interesting matchup. Tom Skotner of Norway, the Fria Duelister, actually that's the group that produced Christine Konsmo. They focus on 133, so it's a German medieval style of sword and buckler, which keeps the buckler close to the sword hand to protect it. Riccardo Rudilioso.
Fighting for gold in sword and buckler. In the blue corner, we have from Fria Duelister Norway, Tom Alexander Skotner.
Alexander Skotner, ladies and gentlemen.
In the red corner, we have from Sala d'Arme Achille Marozzo in Italy, Riccardo Rudilioso.
And this has been
Sala d'Arme Achille Marozzo. Achille Marozzo was really one of the major masters of the Bolognese school, and so not surprisingly, Riccardo Rudilioso will be fighting in a style of Bolognese sword and buckler. So really you're saying German medieval sword and buckler fencing being opposed to Renaissance Bolognese sword and buckler fencing from Italy. This should be a really interesting matchup. The thing that's really nice about this and really interesting is that we have an Italian in the finals working for a medal. The Italians have arrived this year as well.
Here we go. Skotner trying to provoke Mr. Rudilioso by tapping the blade. Rudilioso's ring. What they're doing is trying to get the opponent to react when you tap the blade like that. See what their initial reaction is. A lot of the movement you see in the beginning of a bout is strike to the leg by Rudilioso. Very nice. Right. Buckler high above the head to parry any incoming after blow. Clean hit.
Yep.
And what they do here in the beginning of the bouts or the exchanges is that you want to find your opponent's initial reaction, and that's what you do when you tap the sword like that or test each other out. You start to look for patterns in their fencing. Judges couldn't agree on that exchange. No score. Rudilioso in red, Skotner in blue. Looked like a strike to the head by Rudilioso. Some 2 points, so it's 3 points to 0. Here in the first round at Swordfish.
Early advantage, Rudilioso.
Skotner moving a lot between the guards.
Right, taking a different approach, more relying on the cut. Rudilioso relying more on the thrust. Rudilioso taking a low guard with his point in line. Skotner usually starting more with a cut. Looked like a thrust underneath that was parried and a cut by Skotner, I believe, to the head. 2 points, so it's 2-3 now. Rudilioso settling into this low ward with his buckler arm outstretched and his sword in a low position with the point in line. Skotner taking a more variable approach, usually from the right shoulder.
Very nice. Thrust by Rudilioso, parried by Skotner, counters with strike to the head. But it looks like that thrust went through, so it's a double hit essentially. Parry with the buckler, but sometimes the sword slips over the buckler and hits the target. Is that a standard medieval size of the buckler? Is that a?
That's fairly typical. It looked like a nice thrust underneath. I'm not sure if that landed, but afterwards followed up by a cut to the arm. Right. So that was a cut to the arm by Rudilioso. 5-2. Look at it looked like a thrust from Blue with a parry and a thrust in return that landed.
End of the first round, ladies and gentlemen.
Rudy Loso.
And this is where Mr. Skottner has to start thinking. He needs to change his tactics. Watching the fight, it feels quite even, but you look at the scoreboard, Rudy Loso has a clear lead, 3 minutes for Skottner to catch up. Certainly not impossible, but he's got his work cut out for him.
Right.
This has been a big year for the Italians, because the Italians have primarily been known in the international scene for their superior rapier fencing. We haven't seen any great longsword fencers come out in the international events.
Not
in
until
great
now.
numbers. Not until now.
We have a sword and buckler fencer here fighting for gold, and then later you will see we have another Italian fighting for gold in the open longsword. So it's this standard rule that if you're winning the bout and if what you're doing is working, keep doing what works. And if you're losing, it's time to change your game. So I think what you should expect to see here is Rudy Loso doing more of the same, keeping his buckler extended, keeping his sword low, and relying mainly on these upward thrusts. But our friend in blue, Skottner, needs to do something different.
Let's see if he comes out more aggressive this round.
Cut to the leg by Rudy Loso. 1 point. 2-8 now in favor of Rudy Loso from Saladarme Achille Marozzo of Italy.
Exchange. Judges couldn't agree, no score.
Yeah, it looked to me like it was a cut that was parried by the buckler. So here, Rudy Loso with his point in line again. You can expect an upward thrust, I believe. Yep.
Very nice.
Although a rain of cuts by Skottner, but apparently that thrust cut through. Commanding lead, 10-2. Thrusts miss.
Scuffle.
Hard to see what happened there. Looked like Skottner came in with a cut that was parried and a thrust by Rudy Loso missed, and they ended up core. That looked like a cut parried by Skottner and a thrust landing. Looked like the thrust, I guess the cut landed as well. That was
it
two
slid
for
off the
each.
buckler and hit
Yeah.
Rudy Loso on the head. So it was a double hit, essentially. We see Rudy Loso going for the thrusts more, and
The
Skottner,
judges
he's
unable to agree.
going more for cuts for the head.
See,
Just as I said.
Skottner is
Skottner
making the
strikes to
classic.
the head.
He's making the classic mistake of doing the same thing over and over again. He needs to change his tactics, but I think it's
Rudy
far,
Loso's got
it's
a
far too late
nice
for
thrust.
that.
I mean, he just sneaks that in there.
He does, and he knows he has an opponent who's helping him by doing the same thing. Good move. Skottner trying to do something different by delivering a thrust, but it missed, parried, and the follow-up thrust by Rudy Loso. 2-14. Rudy Loso dropping down, covering, and taking a blow at the leg, which lands. 2-15. Dominance well established by Rudy Loso, who is now taking the opportunity to
Be more creative.
be a little more creative in taking a tail guard. But again, if what you're doing is working, you shouldn't change, and he was punished for that by a blow to the head. Looks like we're in a grappling situation.
Rudy Loso takes
beautiful.
Skottner down.
Takedown.
He will earn a point if he can establish a
And
dominant
a
position.
reversal.
Very nice, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Skottner
Lovely.
lands on
Lovely.
top, thrust to the chest.
Lovely throw by Rudy Loso and a reversal by Skottner. Pins and delivers a thrust while his opponent's on the ground. Too little, too late, but what a way to stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a
Final score of 6-15 in favor of Riccardo Rudiloso of Sala d'Arme Achille Marozzo of Italy.
gold medalist, Rudiloso.
I think this is the first gold that Italy has taken since Francesco Loda.
Yes, it is. Francesco Loda, you'll be seeing him later coaching in the long sword. He fought in Rapier this year, didn't make it all the way.
And Francesco Loda is very happy with the Italian's performance today. I've seen him, he is all smiles.
We have this year as well technical awards. So apart from the three medal winners, we also will be giving one technical award for
me to make the announcement.
nicest fencing.
Yeah, it's essentially it's
It's not based on only on.
it's not fully based on pure
Material
techniques
sorry.
directly from the manuals, but also on overall technical virtuosity, good body mechanics, and good fencing skills.
Yes, that's exactly what I was about to say.
So
This
momentarily,
concludes the sword and buckler competition for Swordfish 2016. Now in bronze, third place, we have Evgeny Volokov.
Volodkov from the White Company, Russia.
the first of the medals for the Russians this evening. Yevgeny Volodkov of the White Company from Ivanovo City in Russia.
In second place, Tom Skotner.
The silver medal goes to the Freie Duelister from Norway. And Tom Skudner. He lost, but that
And in
last
first
exchange
place,
was something to
we have
behold.
Riccardo Rudiloso.
Waving the flag.
Waving
of
the
Italy.
Italian flag with pride and wrapping himself in it is Riccardo Rudiloso of Sala d'Arme
And our
Achille
sponsor,
Marozzo.
Black Armory,
After
are
I must
giving him as
say
a
what
prize
was a
one of their
great
jackets.
performance. The thrusts of Rudiloso.
Yes, very nice display of sword and buckler fencing.
We also are giving out technical awards this Swordfish for particular displays of skill in the competition. And for sword and buckler, this year goes to Jack Gassman.
So Jack Gassman of Switzerland won the technical award for sword and buckler fencing. Despite having an injured foot and hobbling around all weekend, he somehow managed to take part and do a fine job of displaying sword and buckler fencing, winning a technical award.
Ladies and gentlemen, sword and buckler.